Hey everyone, my name is Brandon, and today I'm going to give a topical expository sermon on divine healing. Healing is one of my most favorite topics to talk about. It is central to the Gospels and to the ministry of Jesus. I also know that healing is always the will of God. Healing is the tangible expression of God's heart and love for all of us. God desires to see all of us made whole physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Healing evangelist F. F. Bosworth said in his book, Christ the Healer, regarding the traditions of men that one tradition is that God is the author of disease and that he wills the sickness of some of his worshippers. It is a mystery to me, to Bosworth, how anyone can hold this view in the face of the scriptures and the ministry of Christ. For 3 years, Jesus healed all that were oppressed by the devil, or at least all that came to him for healing. Now let's turn to Mark chapter 1. We'll start in verse 40. Now a leper came to him, imploring him, kneeling down to him and saying to him, "If you are willing, you can make me clean." See, this scene reminds me of people who say, if it's God's will to heal me, then he'll do it when and if he wants. For me, this indicates the closeness of their relationship with Jesus and a confirmation of the unrenewed mind. How can we have positive faith if we begin a prayer with an if? Jesus' will is and always has been and always will be to heal people. Jesus healed everyone that he came in contact with, period. He healed them all. It doesn't say he healed some, he healed them all. If we have an intimate relationship with him, and then we come into know his ways, then we will know his will. I think we often sell God short and think that we are inconveniencing him with our prayers. We act like he has better things to do, when the reality is that we are that better thing. We just need to realize it. We have been called to come boldly to the throne. God can do as he pleases, but he loves to do what we ask because it draws us into relationship with him. We need to kneel down in prayer and seek the Lord. The closer that we get to him, the clearer his will becomes. Moving on to Mark chapter 1, verse 41, it says, "Then Jesus, moved with compassion, stretched out his hand and touched him, and said to him, 'I am willing, be cleansed.' As soon as he had spoken, immediately the leprosy left him, and he was cleansed." Jesus moved with compassion. This is an example of how we should be and feel when we see the hurting and the lost. We should be compassionate, not sympathetic toward all people. That is how we become more like Jesus. Compassion is relating to someone and being there for them. It is offering them the answer that they are seeking with humility and meekness. The answer is, was, and always will be Jesus. It is not taking their burden on for yourself or acting like they're being irrational for feeling a certain way. Compassion is derived from com, C-O-M, which means together, and pati, P-A-T-I, which means to suffer. It is to suffer alongside of someone in order to relate and comfort them. Compassion is relational, which is what God is after. Jesus stretched out his hand. We should all stretch out our hands to the lost and needy. Those that need love, we should show them the compassion and the love of Jesus. Stretching out your hand to someone is an action that says, I care and I'm here to help. It also means we should stretch beyond our comfort zone. And touched him. Touching a leper in those days meant that you would become diseased. Since Jesus arrived on the scene and in the new covenant, it now means the leper becomes cleansed. We should stretch out and touch the lives of sinners and bring them to Christ by showing them through our words and actions the reality of his love. As one of my heroes, Bill Johnson, says, everyone wants a king like Jesus. They just may not realize it yet. Jesus loves to save lives. We should love people and show them who Jesus is and how he is, and partner with them as they become cleansed. We should represent Jesus well. Moving on to verse 43. And he strictly warned him, and sent him away at once. 44. And said to him, see that you say nothing to anyone, but go your way, show yourself to the priest, and offer for your cleansing those things which Moses commanded, as a testimony to them. However, he went out and began to proclaim it freely, and to spread the matter, so that Jesus could no longer openly enter the city, but was outside in deserted places, and they came to him from every direction. Here's the thing. The leper went out and began to proclaim it freely. I don't know about anybody else, but if Jesus healed me of leprosy, I'd want to share it with everyone. It didn't matter if I knew him or not. I would just be telling everyone that I saw, everyone that I came in contact with. You see, guys, the thing is, miracles, signs, and wonders represent the gospel. This is a perfect example of a healing that drew people in from every direction to see Jesus. The same thing's true today. Seeing a miracle will draw people in and will open those up to want to know more about God and the realization of an authentic gospel. You see, being a Christian is more, so much more, than just getting to heaven. It is bringing heaven to earth and walking as Jesus did. It is having an intimate relationship with Jesus to know what his will and his ways are so that we can model him in a powerful way. Jesus showed us what we should do and how we should act during this very brief encounter with a leper. We should show compassion to everyone, especially the hurting. We should stretch out our hand as an offering of support. We should also stretch ourselves beyond our comfort zone because we know that God is with us and has our back. Whether we know it or not, being a Christian places us under a microscope in some regards. We should be willing to touch the lives of others in a positive way, spreading the goodness and the love of Jesus. So I challenge you to proclaim the gospel and share it freely. Don't be ashamed. Miracles, signs, and wonders serve as the gospel in action. It is our job to do the work as best we can, and we leave the rest to God. He loves to work through us. It is our job to make sure we remain available for him to use. I'll end with this thought from F.F. Bosworth. Since Jesus in the Gospels never commissioned anybody to preach the gospel without commanding that person to heal the sick, how can we obey this command if there is no gospel, good news, of healing to proclaim to the sick as a basis for their faith? Since faith is expecting God to keep his promise, how can there be faith for healing if God has not promised it? And since the Bible is full of promises for healing, are they not all gospel, good news, to the sick? Since faith cometh by hearing the word, how can the sick have faith for healing if there is nothing for them to hear? Here's the deal. Jesus healed everyone who came to him. To accept any other standard is to bring the Bible down to our level of experience and deny the nature of the one who does not change. God's will has always and will always be healing. He's better than we think, so let's change the way that we think. Bless you guys.